Was there dinner served and all that? Did y'all like do a celebration dinner or anything?
Well, it wasn't that because they're on spring break and they're the school gives them money for when they're out of school, and their money hadn't come, so I fed everybody at my house. And we just happened to be there at the time the show came on.
Gotcha.
Coincidence.
Gotcha. So you always said that you didn't want them really worrying about that much, were they? But I mean, at that time you have to.
Well, but to be very honest with you, our body of work was pretty solid.
Right.
When you look at all the numbers, we had accomplished enough of the criteria that we deserve to have an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. I guess that's one reason why we had very little conversation about us and Missouri and some of the other teams, because when you added up the points that they were using to evaluate teams participating, I thought we had earned the right to be there. So, but it's always a little bit of anxiety and anticipation as to who you're going to play and where you're going to play and what the matchups are. So it's an exciting time of year for all college basketball fans and players. Just the anxiety and anticipation creates an emotional state of mind. It's somewhat a relief when you see your name come across the ticker.
For you, is it good going to Nashville because you have some familiarity with that venue and playing there?
I'm sure for me personally, but none of the players have played, and I won't be playing. So I'm not real sure that has any bearing on the tournament. The most important thing is for you to understand that regardless of who you're playing and where the game is played, it really is irrelevant because every team is a worthy opponent. And you have to go in with a clear understanding that you need to be at your best, your very, very best. You don't have any room for error. You cannot have a bad moment. You cannot have bad games. You all got to be connected together, all on the same page. And the most important thing is that it's not as much about who you're playing, it's about you. You really basically playing against yourself. You're playing against your ability to go out and be the best of who you are, playing to your strengths, trying to stay away from your weakness. We'll probably know as much about them as they will about us, from what we can see on film and what they can see on film. But the most important thing is how are we going to come up with a game plan and a mindset of how we need to play to each other, with each other, to maximize our skills and our talents, and then taking the knowledge that what we'll know about them is trying to see whether or not we can minimize their effectiveness to the best of our abilities.
As far as scouting, how difficult with Missouri is it going to be since Porter's only basically played in 1+ games?
It's a little more challenging than you would normally expect because of that fact. I mean, he's a lottery pick, top 5 pick in the draft, and he's only played one real game. And so for us to be able to expect that we're going to know exactly what to expect from him is almost virtually impossible. We have to go on the fact that regardless of who you're playing, they will have a great player at this point. So whether that player had been playing all year or he just played in one game, whoever we would play would have a great player, more than likely playing in that position. So we have to go on with a clear understanding that he's going to be just like a lot of the players that we play against in the ACC. You got to be at your best. You got to defend him. You got to block him out. You got to give him his respect from an attention standpoint, and then we got to be who we are. The fact that we don't know very much about him is not as much of a deal when you take into consideration that every team we played in the ACC maybe had 2 or 3 guys like him on their team. So from that standpoint, it's more about us than it is about them.
You have a lot of guys that have tournament experience from last year. Does it help knowing that this is going to be their first time on that stage? Maybe the jitters that might have been there last year maybe won't be there this time around?
Well, we do have a few guys that play on that, and I'm hopefully they'll draw some positive from the negative. The fact that we didn't play very well against Xavier, and that they will use that experience maybe to help some of the guys who have not played in this arena at all. But at this stage of the year, at this time of the year, like I say, I'm not going to look for a whole lot of philosophical things. We're going to try to just band ourselves together, realize it's one and done. You either win or you go home. And the importance that we have to place on the little things, the executions, the little things, the deflections, the steals, the tip-ins, the transition basket, the charges, all the little things that go into whether or not you win or lose a game, we got to be on point. Those things that we can control, we need to make sure that we control.
This is the first time in school history that Florida State's made the NCAA tournament 6 times in a 10-year stretch. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think one of the coaches brought it to my attention. I realized that's positive from a program standpoint, but I'm not real sure that's going to have anything to do with the game. And so I want to focus on those things that I can control. I feel that it's a statement that our program, being considered one of the top elite programs 6 times out of 10 years, but those other years that we missed, sometimes it's not a whole lot for me to feel good about. So hopefully we can stack a few more of these on and be a little more meaningful, but I don't want to get philosophical. The most important thing is how we come to practice tomorrow and how we prepare. And we're going to go in here tonight and we're going to watch as much as we can about Missouri and see whether or not we can come up with a game plan. Tomorrow we're going to try to focus on being the best Seminoles.
I know you don't want to look ahead, but
No, I'm not.
What was the reaction when it showed you were in the same quadrant as Xavier?
I mean, it's obvious that they outplayed us last year, But see, those are the kind of when you allow yourself to be affected that way, you lose focus on what you need to be prepared for, and that's Missouri. We don't have the luxury of even giving Xavier a whole lot of attention. Now, one of the coaches will be prepared, so we come out of one game, but that's his job.
Right.
Okay. Right now, those Tigers are enough for me to concern myself with.
How well do you know Kwanzaa, if at all?
Know him very well. Know him very well. We talk on an as-need basis, but we talk several times a year, or more, sometimes more than that. He's a great coach, great guy. I think he's been successful everywhere he's been. I know his team's going to be well prepared.
Is there a hallmark of his team? Is it in a defensive philosophy or offensive?
I just think his teams are always sound fundamentally. They play hard. He has control of his team. He's a very focused, competitive guy, and they always reflect his attitude and his concentration.